And I'm joined now by a man, well, I don't know what to call him. Is he a soon-to-be UFC featherweight? Is he a former PFL featherweight? We don't really know how to answer that, but maybe with this conversation, we can get a little bit closer to it. He is a phenom and then some. It is Aaron Pico. Hi, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing good, Luke. It's good to talk to you. How's everything?
It is okay. It is okay. But let's turn the attention towards you. So you're in a very interesting predicament in your career, as I understand it. So correct me if I'm wrong. About a week or two ago, I believe that your manager had publicly confirmed that I guess the exclusive negotiating window with PFL had expired. Is that about right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So like I said, we're right now just like I said, waiting for UFC to make an offer. But the only problem that we really have right now is PFL has the right to match, and
Okay.
that's
All
what
right.
that's what we're dealing with.
All right. So let's unpack this for just a little bit. Why are you banging the pots and pans, and why now?
Well, why now is just because bottom line is I want to fight in the UFC. That's what I want to do, and I'm pretty frustrated right now because I've had this whole year I haven't fought. I was scheduled for three fights, and they were all canceled on me. And but now, like I said, I'm a free agent, but the only asterisk on that is the right to match with PFL. But I'll just kind of break it down to like why I'm feeling this way is because after my fight in Saudi Arabia, I had a conversation with Donn Davis at the airport, and we were actually on the same flight, and our flight got delayed, so we got to talking, and he said, "Well, what do you want to do next?" I said, "I would love to fight for the title. I think I'm in a good position, and we would. Now's the time. I feel really good in my career." And they said, "You got it. Where would you like to fight?" I said, "I'd love to fight in California. Obviously, I'm from there. Fan base is pretty good." And we shook on it. We took a picture. Said everything was good. You got it. So as time went on, we got closer to the fight, and it was canceled on me. They said, no, they want you to fight in Saudi Arabia on the Francis Ngannou card. I said, okay, no problem, as long as I fight against Jesus Pinedo. And we got ready for him. A couple weeks before, they said, you're going to fight Jeremy Kennedy. No problem. It is what it is. And then as we're getting closer to that, they said, no, they want you to fight Patricio Pitbull in Japan on the New Year's Eve card. And like a month before that, they canceled on me, and that's the last I've heard. And I just want to clarify things. Is I signed a 7-fight deal for 30 months with Bellator. Obviously, the PFL bought Bellator, and I've only gotten five fights. So in my eyes, it's a breach of contract, and I didn't get those last 2 fights. It's not because I didn't want to fight. It's just they were all canceled on me. So now I'm a free agent, but they have the right to match. And I'm like, come on, guys. I want to be free and clear. I want to go to a true free agency and see what's best for me. So that's the situation that we're in.
All right. So there's a lot to unpack there. Let's go piece by piece.
Yeah.
So you indicate there was a Pinedo fight. There was eventually going to be a Jeremy Kennedy fight, and then there was going to be a Pitbull fight. They all fell through. Did they all fall through for the same reason? Why did they fall through, each of them?
I didn't even get an explanation. I'm being completely honest with you. I would tell you if this happened, or all I got was a phone call from Ali with a little bit of frustration in his voice, and he didn't even know what was really going on. So like I said, I really wish I had more information for you, but I don't. There was no phone call from Donn to say, hey, this happened or that happened. It was just, you're not fighting. And to be completely honest with you, like even in Saudi Arabia, when I fought a year ago, that was almost canceled on me too.
The PFL versus Bellator card when you fought Henry Corrales.
Exactly. I was in Morocco at the time because I wanted to acclimate to the time. And like 4 days before the fight, Ali called me and said, I don't think you're going to fight. I said, well, what do you mean I'm not going to fight? That doesn't make any sense. I'm here in Morocco. I've spent all this time in training camp. My coaches are here. They put in time. They deserve to get paid. I put in a lot of time with the training camp, obviously money. And I said, Ali, I am fighting, whether you like it or not. Like, something I need to fight, or at least get paid. So they got back to me and said, all you do is have to make weight. And I said, okay, no problem. I'll make weight, but I would rather make the walk and just another time around and just get used to it. And then they came back to me. I was actually on the flight to Saudi Arabia. I landed and he said, you're fighting Henry Corrales. I said, okay, no problem, at 155. And thank God he stepped up and I fought, but I almost didn't fight. It was crazy. It was a crazy scenario. It was, but props to Henry Corrales. That wasn't an easy thing to do. I hope he got paid well, and it was good for me because I got some revenge.
Did anything like that ever happen when you were at Bellator?
No, it never did. Like I said, I came with Scott Coker, brought me into the organization, and we've always had a really, really good relationship. Scott, Mike Hogan, Rich Chow was always really, really smooth. And I feel very loyal to them because they were with me through the ups and downs. As you know, it's no secret. I had some hiccups early on, but it was always very, very upfront. I met with Scott a few times and in the worst moments in my career, and he said, no, we're going to stick by you. We truly feel that you're going to become a world champion, and we're here for you. And during that time, when I was ready and I needed to fight, it was always on the table, and never had a fight not go through. So this is foreign to me. But I don't have a lot of information as far as what's going on in the PFL on the business side. That's above my pay grade. And like I said, I'm a fighter, and I've been ready for 3 times, 3 camps, and now we're here.
And if my math is right, that means you signed your last deal, the Bellator deal, for 30 months or 7 fights. That was again, that must have been like mid 2020 then. Is that right?
Yeah.
Give or take, right?
Yeah.
And then did you have, I guess my only question about that is, and I don't think, I'm going to guess the answer is no, but if I may, did you have any inkling at that time that Bellator might not make it to the end of that deal?
No. I didn't. It was a surprise to me that PFL, acquired Bellator. I had no idea. It was just kind of like, oh, I think PFL is going to buy Bellator, but then you always think it's rumors, and then it really happened, and then we're off. Now we're in PFL. But like I said, I didn't. It's been kind of up in the air. Just we don't really know what's going on, and like I said, it's really, really concerning. But when I talked to Donn Davis in Saudi Arabia, he was actually with his wife. She was a really, really kind lady, and she was very excited. And it was a good conversation. It was just a good atmosphere. I had my dad there, my coaches, and he was explaining to us all the, what he had in store for, PFL, and he was really, really excited. So like I said, I was very optimistic on the flight back home. I was like, okay, I'm going to be in PFL, and seems like it's headed in the right direction. And be a company man, and whatever I need to do and fight whoever. And that was the last conversation that I had.
When you say last conversation you've had, that means you personally speaking to Donn Davis, right? I'm assuming that Ali has been able to have some kind of audience with him, right?
Yes. Yeah. I haven't had a conversation with Donn other than just at the airport. So
right.
No communication on that end, and which I expect. I don't expect him to call me. I have a manager and things like that, but I kind of was like, we had like a really, really good conversation in Saudi Arabia. We shook hands. He even said, hey, let's take a picture because this is a big moment. We got the deal done. You fighting for a world championship in California, and I would expect like at least 3 times he canceled. I probably would have. If I was him, I would have called and said, hey, listen, man, I'm really sorry that it fell through, but these are the reasons why, and we're going to get you on the next one, or whatever it may be. But it is what it is. Okay.
So there's still more to unpack here about all of this. In terms of, let me think exactly how I want to say this. Why is it okay, so you're not alone in doing this, right? So you're speaking out. Obviously, Patricio Pitbull had his own kind of public referendum. Patchy Mix has spoken out as well. Now, the difference between you and Patchy Mix with respect to Pitbull is you guys are still in your 20s. I think Patchy Mix might be 30, but certainly younger guys and about to enter or in the middle of your prime if you're Patchy Mix's case. Why is it, do you think, that PFL has trouble meeting the demands of singular stars that they have in their roster? I mean, if this was like, and the reason why I'm asking this is if it was just you, I don't know what to make of that, but it's clearly not just you. There's actually a number of these incidents happening. Corey Anderson has also spoken about these kinds of issues as well, and I'm sure I'm missing other ones on top of it. What is happening between PFL and Bellator that PFL doesn't seem to be able to meet this kind of demand?
Luke, honestly, that's a good question. I have no idea. I don't know if it's money. I don't know. Like I said, yeah, I'm at loss for words with that side of it. I'm sure there was some plan. I mean, I don't think you just buy an organization and say, okay, we'll just do whatever. I'm sure they had a plan, and maybe there was something, money or investors. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is as far as that, but it's not fair to the fighters to be just held and not know what is going on, because like this is how a lot of fighters make money, how they support their family, and it's not easy going through training camps, as you know. I mean, if you're doing it first class and everything you do is at the highest level, you're paying for the best, the coaches, for recovery, for food, and expecting to fight and then be able to do that. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't.
Well, how have you managed? You had one bout in February of 2024, and that was it. Have you? I mean, to what extent have any of these events been a financial stressor for you?
No, to be honest with you, I'm pretty smart with my money and I manage it very, very well. And of course, there's things that you want to do, and you have goals and things that you want to, like I said, do. So I've managed my money really well. Thank God I have, I have my sponsors, and I do some investments, and everything is good on that end. But there's more that I want. I'll be completely honest. I want more things, and most importantly, I want to show the world that I'm the best fighter at 145 pounds. That's more important than me. Right now, money is great, but I want to just show that I'm the best fighter in the world. That's where I'm at in my career. 20 years old.
Yeah, I guess what sort of response do you imagine you're going to get from PFL by virtue of a media tour? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad we're speaking, and I do think it's important that the public hears your concerns. But I wonder what you might make of what the PFL will say.
It's beyond my, they can say what they want to say. I believe Donn Davis responded today, and he said he's free to go to the UFC, but we're basically gonna see if there's a match clause, and that's pretty standard in MMA, which I totally get that, but it's pretty standard to make sure guys are getting their fights in. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I feel they have breached the contract. I was supposed to fight 7 times. I only fought 5. I was scheduled to fight 3 times. They were all canceled on me. So Luke, what am I supposed to do? I would feel, how am I supposed to trust anything? You can throw $5 million at me to sign with you, but if I'm not fighting, how am I going to even get that money? I haven't even fought 3 times. I haven't fought in a year. This is ridiculous.
So let me see if I understand the mechanics right. PFL must have had an exclusive negotiating period.
Yeah.
And they must have, I'm going to guess, come to you with some kind of a deal. Is that right?
They came with Ali they came to Ali with a deal, and but my answer was I don't want to fight for them. Simple as that. I don't want to. I want to be able to go and negotiate with with the UFC or whoever, and just be a true free agent, you know, because I feel like it's like, how do I trust anything? You throw out a deal, how do I trust you? You know, it's already been 1 year.
Forgive my ignorance. I'm just curious, and I mean, of course, the answer is they could always just decline any kind of provision you could put in any deal, right? They could just say no. Why couldn't a contract include a provision that if, like, I'm going to make something up, 3 fights in a year are canceled on you, it could trigger a release? You know what I mean? Like, if they can't actually deliver to you the thing that they're supposed to do, it just sets you free. I'm guessing they would balk at something like that, but one wonders why that couldn't be more standard.
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I think it's a really good question for Ali, and we can go from there. But like I said, what I've been told is that when I got the news, okay, I'm a true free agent. It's like, yeah, but they have the right to match. So if they match anything, then you are, you know, with the PFL. I'm like, it's kind of, I mean, that's crazy. I understand that, but they've canceled on me 3 times. So it's like, what do you want me to do? You know?
I want to talk about the UFC side in just a second, but have they at any point, PFL, have they told you, okay, so there's 2 parts to this question. Either when Bellator folded into PFL, or either during this negotiations ahead of 2025, have they ever at any point laid out a vision for what they have for you? Like, here's where you fit into the plans kind of thing?
PFL?
Yes.
No.
Never. So when they were negotiating for like this renewal, they never came to you and said 2025, we're going to bang it out in these places, these days, or not these dates, but you know, this is the vision that we have for, you know, the champions, or what are they going to call the champion series, whatever the proper name for it is. Nothing like that was ever discussed.
Never discussed. The only thing that I remember is that Bellator was going to they were going to have their fights, PFL was going to have their fights, and that they were going to have a champion series like they did in Saudi Arabia. That's the only thing that I heard. But as far as what they had for me and what they were planning on doing, the answer is no.
Okay. Now, by contrast, did you ever have, and even when things weren't necessarily going great, did you ever have conversations like this with Bellator staff, Coker, Kogan, anybody like that at any point? Like, here's where you fit into our plans, kind of thing.
Yeah, when I was with Scott, and that was like kind of, the plan was for me to be fast tracked to the title. You know, I was going to be fast tracked, and I believe I was going to. Yeah, I was at 155 when I first started my career, which is crazy to even think about. But yeah, they wanted me to, you know, fast track to the title, and then I had those losses. So then it took me years to come back, you know. So it was always kind of a building phase. And then when I started to get into the conversation about titles and stuff like that, it was kind of, Scott, you know, was pretty much already gone, because I fought Jeremy Kennedy. Jeremy Kennedy, that was a title eliminator. I was going to fight Jeremy Kennedy. The winner of that was going to fight Patricio Pitbull. Obviously, we know that my shoulder went out. So then I had shoulder surgery, and then I fought once, and then I fought Pedro Carvalho, and then I was going to fight Pedro Carvalho and then fight for the title. That's what I was told. And then it all happened with PFL and Bellator. So I was getting ready to fight Pitbull for the belt. But mine was kind of, it put a big damper on my career, taking those early losses. So it was kind of a rebuilding phase, as you've seen in my career.
Just on that, if I may, I want to obviously stay germane to the conversation, but since I haven't had a chance to really talk to you since the rebuilding phase has, I think for the most part, basically concluded, you're ready to sort of get going again here, right? When did you know that the rebuilding process was complete?
Oh, that's a good question. After I fought Pedro Carvalho, I felt really, really good, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to take on anybody in the world. I felt good. was ready just to fight anybody that Bellator had. I was like, let's fight Pitbull now. And yeah, like I said, now I'm at the point in my career where I feel like anybody at 145 pounds, anytime, and it's taken me a while to get there mentally. You know, I was thrown in the fire early on. My first fight was Madison Square Garden, which was really, really crazy. If I look back now, I'm like, what the hell was I doing? But of course, I still have a lot to learn, but now I'm coming into my own fighter, and they called me and said, I need to fight Topuria next weekend. I'd be like, okay, I know what I need to do. I have the codes with my coaches. I know where I'm comfortable, where I'm a little bit, where I need to kind of stay away. And that's fine. It's finally freeing as a fighter to have that.
You mentioned something about Bellator that I thought was kind of interesting. So, and I do think this is important because it creates a separation in terms of how you understand your relationship to the fight promoter. You could call them and tell them that you were ready. Like, how did you get offered fights in terms of regularity within the Bellator organization?
Well, I was always like, it was during that time I was fighting 3 times a year. So like if I fought, I knew like, okay, I was a couple months out, I could take a little bit of a break. And then they kind of had consistent shows. So I just call Ali and say, hey, when are we going to fight? Obviously he would talk to Mike or Scott. And it was just seemed like it flowed pretty well. But it was 3 fights. I think I fought 4 times in 1 year too. So it just, I think you maybe just take that for granted because I was like, okay, I'm going to fight in a couple months, take a little time off, and then get ready. So yeah,
all right.
A rare question.
Let's play devil's advocate because someone's, you know, the internet, like no one will ever accept anybody's, testimonial at face value.
For sure.
Someone's going to say, okay, if you want consistency with the PFL, why not just enter the 145 tourney? To which you would reply,
I want to fight in the UFC. I want to fight. As simple as that. I mean, I want to fight bigger names, bigger challenges, and on a bigger platform. And I can't trust if the PFL is still going to be around in a year or 2 years. But at least with the UFC, they're a proven brand. They put on shows all the time. They're global. I mean, UFC is the biggest organization in the world, and rightfully so. I mean, they definitely put their money where their mouth is, and they work day in and day out. And that's where I want to go. And a lot of my fans have been wanting to see that, and I know personally I do too. You're not really recognized as the best fighter in the world unless you have that UFC belt around your waist. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
What do you make of the current state of the UFC featherweight division? How do you assess how you compete with them?
I think I beat anybody at 145 pounds. I truly believe that. I think Ilia Topuria and I would be one of the best fights MMA has ever seen. I mean, look at our styles. Look how we knock people out. Diego Lopez, I feel I beat him. Anybody in the top, anybody in UFC at featherweight, I truly believe I will beat.
Still, it is it's an interesting time, right? Because 145 it's one of their best divisions, right? You make a splash there. You don't just make a splash at 145. You make a splash worldwide, essentially, right? Like it's not. I mean, I bring this all up to say, like, if you go to heavyweight right now, I don't know if it's so great, but 145 is the hottest it's been, or at least has some maybe some of the more relevant names in the entire sport right now.
For sure. I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting time. There's so many guys to fight, and in the UFC, it's very consistent. I mean, if you're healthy and you're willing to fight, Dana's like, hey, let's go. Let's book them. And the 145-pound division, even in wrestling, has always been one of the toughest weight classes in the world. And so it's kind of nothing new to me. I wrestled 66 kilo internationally all my life, and it's always been one of the toughest weight categories in the world. So it's just I'm just kind of used to that. And back to what I was saying before, if you asked me like 3 years ago, would I have would I have been ready? And I have to be completely honest with myself. I don't think I would have been ready for the top guys. But now, not to say I couldn't beat them, it just would have been a little bit of hesitation. Okay, you know. But now I'm like, book the fights, whoever it is. It's Topuria tomorrow, then we fight. And I feel comfortable and I feel optimistic that I'm going to win the fight. I feel very, very comfortable with it.
Have talks with UFC, now that you're eligible for it, right? Because there are legal restrictions on what can and can't happen at what times. Now that it's totally above board, have the conversations begun? And the reason why I ask is, I mean, what's the UFC going to offer, right? Like any other fight promotion, they would offer maybe a certain amount of fights, a certain dollar amount to the overall deal. But one thing they could do is they could also offer you a title shot.
Yeah.
Is there any indication that they would?
Have I talked to them personally, the UFC?
Or even Ali or anybody in the orbit? Is there any, I guess what I'm trying to ask is there any inclination to believe that that would be part of any offer?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know that when I do go to the UFC, I believe it's going to be, you know, top 5 right away, top 10. So I know that's in the works. But like I said, I haven't spoken to the UFC, but Ali, I'm sure, is doing his job, and we'll have to see from there. But right now, like I said, we're in this situation, and we'll go from there when it's all done, signed, sealed, delivered. But I truly believe that it's going to be something big right out the gate, and that's what I'm mentally preparing for. Maybe a title shot. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
UFC works that way.
I'm trying to remember. You may not remember this because you're like 5 years old at this point. I can never really tell how old you are. When Gilbert Melendez nearly signed with Bellator, do you recall this? Or maybe it was Eddie Alvarez. Who was it? I cannot even remember who it was. One of the two had an issue, and then there was thrown in there was like a title opportunity, and then they had to match that particular clause in order to meet the same value of the deal. But here's the question as it pertains to PFL. Have they indicated that they're going to go white knuckle on this, where like, you know, whatever they offer, we're gonna match it, no problem? Like there's nothing UFC could offer that they couldn't match, and then they're gonna go hard nose about it? Or are they just keeping their cards close to the vest and saying, you know, we'll see what you come up with on the free market?
From what it sounds like from Donn Davis, I think whatever they offer financially, I think they'll be able to. They're gonna be pretty strong about it. But like I said, the UFC can, you know, there's other ways around it, I'm sure. But like, back to your question, if they were to offer me a title shot, you know, right out the gate, I definitely would be prepared for it and openly take the fight with motivation, knowing that I could win. It's not out of my league to go and win a UFC title right out the gate. I truly feel I can do it.
So what is the plan here, right? You're speaking to me. I know you've spoken to some other media outlets. You're banging the pots and pans. By itself, this could work, but by itself, it might not. So like, if they do come back and then they do match, or, you know, again, some of that stuff has to be legally determined whether they match. We'll see how it goes. You don't have to take the deal. You could retire. You could turn down fights. Like, how are you anticipating how this will go, and what are you planning to do to see the whole process through?
Yeah, well, I know that it's the clauses. I believe it's 1 year, so then I would just sit out for one more year. Then I'm truly a free agent. Or it can be the easy way and just say, Donn can give me my true full release, and I can go where I want to go. But if that's not the case, I'm going to sit out a whole year and continue to get better.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that. So they have matching rights for up to a year, and then after that, the whole shebang expires, right?
Yeah. So basically, yeah, that's what it comes down to. If Donn can give me the matching clause is not there, then I can go where I want to go. But if I can, and I'll sit out a whole year, and I'm 100% going to do that if I need to do it. I don't want to fight for the PFL.
Okay, but it does bring us to a position where it is worth asking. Let's say I hate to call it this, but let's just call it for the sake of argument, the nuclear option, where you don't have to take any kind of match. You just decide to sit out. That could be potentially 2 years of not fighting. Are you worried about what that might do? You would still be in your 20s, which is great, but like it's a lot of time lost for a key portion of your athletic life. Or does that concern you at all?
Of course, it concerns me. I mean, the more reps you do at anything, and the more walks you do, you just get better and better. Of course, like I said, it's a little bit of a concern, but all I can do is be as positive and put myself in situations where I'm getting better. I mean, that's all I can really say. Of course, I think about it like, damn, I haven't fought in 2 years, but all I can do is control what I can control and prepare as best as I can and go from there. So
strange times. I don't know how this is going to go, but let's stay in touch. Let's see what happens with their offer. And let's hope that one way or the other, everybody gets what they're looking for here. And I wish you the best of luck through this process. Anything that we didn't mention that deserves notice here? Anything that I did not get to?
No, I think that we covered everything. Just want to say thank you for taking the time to talk, and hopefully the next conversation that we have is a good one, and we're off doing, great things.
Well, I think I speak for most of the MMA fans when I say we just want to see you fight again, and we hope that it can happen on the terms most acceptable to you. Aaron Pico, thank you for taking the time, and we'll see how this all goes.
Appreciate it, Luke. Thank you.